Mark chapter 10, 42 to 45. Jesus called them together and said, "You know that those who are regarded as rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be slave of all. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many."
Mi manera favorita de servirle al Señor es hablándole a la gente, dejándole saber de que hay una vida mejor que la que se vive fuera de la presencia de Dios. Y que en un tiempo existíamos y cuando Dios vino a nuestros corazones ya no existimos sino vivimos. El Evangelio es amor, pero también es más profundo, es pasión. Pasión es cuando tú sientes lo que otra persona pasa, tú lo sientes porque somos uno en Cristo Jesús. Yo empecé a servir al Señor en 1983. Yo he estado sirviendo al Señor por 40 años. Nuestro Dios es un Dios de cambio y al crecer a una edad avanzada, pues tenemos más experiencia para poder desarrollar la palabra de Dios con más frecuencia. Cuando yo recibí al Señor en mi corazón, lo primero que el Señor me puso en mi mente era que yo tenía que arreglar las cosas con mi familia. Yo creía que era un padre excelente y en realidad era a mitad, porque lo que tenía que darle primero no se lo di, que es la palabra de Dios, el reconocimiento del Evangelio. Le daba todo lo material, pero no le daba lo espiritual. Y de ahí pues Dios me fue llevando, dándome palabra para ellos, hasta que pude ganármelos a todos para Cristo. Mi familia, gloria a Dios, hoy estamos 22 sirviéndole al Señor. A toda mi familia se lo digo, hasta los niños pequeños. Jesucristo te ama. No se turbe vuestro corazón. Creéis en Dios, creed también en mí. Dios es maravilloso. Yo no me canso de saber que para mí hay algo grande en el cielo y hay un espacio para mí y para toda mi familia. Amén.
Because God loves the world and we're meant to love people, it means serving people, serving the world. But it's always an act of sacrifice because you're giving up your time, your effort, maybe something else you would rather be doing or pursuing to make someone else more comfortable or happy or fulfilling like a basic need. So it's kind of like a dying to self every time you do an act of service. But there's a reward in there too. Ceci's diet is a keto diet to help prevent her seizures. It's pretty much just high fat, low carb, no sugar, and everything has to be weighed on a gram scale. Right now I'm just measuring fruit. We usually have to mix together like cream and mixed nuts or ground nuts and meat. She has like special medicine that goes in her water 3 times a day because the diet doesn't it kind of affects the amount of nutrients that are in her body, and so this kind of helps like even things out. She needs like potassium. On the keto diet we could do bacon and sandwich meat and hot dogs, and we did that in the beginning and then we cut that out and we noticed that it helped. So she really doesn't eat a whole lot of processed stuff. I don't think there's a smaller or larger serving at all. I think that's a misconception. I think anybody who decides to follow Christ, become a disciple of Christ, is a servant. You know, it's just inherent. It's just part of being a follower of Christ. Anybody that he asks to follow him, he's like, sell all your things and give them to the poor. There was already an act of sacrifice right there to serve him, or leave your mother and your father, don't wait to bury your dad, come now. But Jesus knew, he knew those things would hinder them. If you love your family more than me, then you're not gonna die for me. If you love money more than me, you're not gonna die for me. And I guess to follow Christ is to die, and then to be risen again with him. Yeah, I believe what I do at home is very important. It doesn't feel like it a lot of times. It feels kind of thankless and mundane, but I think that pouring effort into that is valuable and it is worth it. And even though they can't like see it right now, I believe it'll like pay dues like when they're older. I think God created our bodies to respond to kindness. You just feel good. You just feel like you're part of something bigger. And we don't get to do this that often, where I just get to hold her for a long time, because you see Sammy, like I have to be after him, and he's climbing everything now. And sometimes we stay in the house for like 4 days in a row, 5 days, and it's like then you start to feel like really crazy, you know?
Nobody could do it better. She's specifically gifted to raise our children, to teach, to inspire, to encourage, and to love, and there's nobody that could do it better than her.
It's been a journey for me just to believe in myself. That's been like probably like the big journey that God has had me on, I would say this past year, is believing that I am who He says I am, that I'm worthy, that I'm good enough. So in some ways it's easy for me to be a servant because I don't see myself as being more. So like it's actually like it's easy for me to put myself beneath people. But this past year God's like, no, like if I'm calling you to do something, I want you to believe that you're good at it and that you're actually gonna like shine.